This is Bad Movies We Love, part of the Shice Podcast Network.
If you're listening to this, you are the resistance.
Hello, Bad Movie Lovers, and welcome back to Bad Movies We Love. I am your host, Nick Scheist.
The master of this stupid stuff!
We are wrapping up Women's Month here in March and putting a nice, neat little bow on it with the second of a two-day doubleheader as promised. There have been a lot of new listeners here at the show. In fact, record numbers of new listeners here at the show. This was the best month ever, so hopefully the kind of fun that I'm having, you're also having that much fun. I just want to continue to make a show that I like doing, and this month I took on a lot. It was a 6-episode slate, plus a new Filmmaker in Focus episode, but it was totally worth it. All the movies that we covered this month in March have been a lot of fun in their own different ways, and I don't necessarily want to say that I saved the best for last because opinions will vary, but for this episode, I was joined by my wife, Christen, my co-host on Hers, His, and Ours and Rom-Comathon, and she joined me to talk about why she loves The First Wives Club from 1996. Who wants to watch this movie about a bunch of divorcees?
Don't get mad, get everything. That was a really bad therapist.
Crotch jockey, huh?
It was up against a lot of very significant male-centric movies.
Round and round we go. Where we stop, only the human centipede knows.
I'm going to have to get a job at McDonald's.
Yeah, and I'll have to do ads for adult diapers.
I'll have to wear them.
No. I just spent the last 25 years with the most self-absorbed, arrogant man on earth who is getting married to my therapist, who I paid a fortune to lecture me on self-esteem. Huh?
You win.
And away we go.
Hi.
Hi. You gonna say more words?
Are you? You're the host?
I mean, that's fair. I will say more words.
Okay. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, exactly. You're welcome.
Thanks for finally making time for me.
Yes, you are welcome.
Mr. Busy Man.
Mr. Busy Man, yes. Tomorrow's, because the recording got rescheduled, I'm off tomorrow finally for the first day in a week.
Yeah, look at that.
Look at that.
We're going to go see some theater.
Yep. But tonight we are on...
Like Donkey Kong.
Well, that's one way to look at it. Well, Christen, my wife, is here, back on the show for what turns out to be a almost good, officially good movie, but ultimately landed in the bubble. So, just shy of the good movie threshold.
Are you counting this as a bubble pick?
It is a bubble pick.
Okay.
So there's been a couple bubble picks in a good movie this month, and why not?
Am I doing all the bubble picks?
I mean, that's the way that it's trending.
Cool.
But it doesn't have to be that way. But anyway, before we get to the movie at hand, I don't know that everybody that listens to this listens to Hers, His, and Ours. I doubt it, actually, because I can see the numbers, and I know that these people are not necessarily listening to our show, Hers, His, and Ours, and that's okay.
We haven't done it in a while.
We haven't. It's a way different show.
In their defense.
Yes, in their defense. There's a lot of shows on the network, and if this is your favorite, then that's awesome, and I'm not going to force you to go elsewhere for your listening pleasure. But for the people who maybe have not familiarized themselves with the other episodes we've done on Hook and Jingle All the Way and Stick It and
Wedding Planner.
The Wedding Planner was part of Rom-Comathon, which you also co-host with me. So if you're not an exclusive subscriber, if you're not a Frontlines member of the Resistance here at Bad Movies We Love, then those exclusives have been out of your grasp.
And we did Family Stone and The Holiday?
Yes, those are Rom-Comathons.
Oh, yeah.
So this may be your first time hearing my wife's sultry tones.
No, maybe.
Yeah, it might be. Might be somebody's first time listening to this show ever.
Maybe.
And they're going to turn it off after this now.
But I'm also the intro.
That's true. So you've heard her at the beginning. No matter what. If you push play in the first 5 seconds, spoiler alert, that's her voice you hear there at the outset. And you've done some other voice work for me on another Frontlines exclusive.
That's right.
I don't know. I don't want to spoil it and really tell everybody
No, keep that one
the
close
secret,
to
the secret
chest.
sauce. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure they could figure it out. If they listen, they hear another voice. They say, "Who's that?" They'll figure it out. But yeah, you still gotta be a Frontlines member to hear that as well.
Yeah.
So before we dive into this movie, you need to give me the rankings of your Hollywood Chris's. So Chris Pine, Chris Pratt, Chris Hemsworth, and Chris Evans.
Why? Where did that come from?
I feel like it's a good icebreaker to see some stuff.
Okay. Repeat them again. Chris Pine, Chris Pratt, Chris Evans,
And Chris Hemsworth. The 4 Hollywood Chris's.
and Chris Hemsworth?
Yeah. Not his brother Liam Hemsworth, Chris Hemsworth. Thor.
Oh.
Yeah.
Why does that sound like that's not the right name for him?
By the power of Asgard, it's him.
Okay, I believe you. Oh, yes, that makes sense. Wow, it's been a while since I've watched a Marvel movie with him. Anyways, I'm going to say Chris Evans,
Number 1.
Chris Hemsworth,
Okay.
Chris Pine.
Okay. That only leaves one.
What was the last one?
Chris Pratt.
Chris Pratt.
He's on the bottom.
Yes.
It's fair.
Didn't used to be, but
Yeah.
he is now.
Yeah. Well, I feel like he's a good comedic actor, but also for some reason has just stopped doing that and has tried to become like a serious actor. And I've yet to see the fruits of his labor in that department. So
I feel like sometimes it takes a while for actors to kind of cross over on that, but also he's just, there's too much negative stuff outside of Hollywood with him that I don't know that he could pull it off anyways. But maybe.
that's fair. I don't know. I heard the last movie was this pro-authoritarian mess. So
Yeah. And I don't like how he did Anna Faris dirty.
yeah, that's been your guiding light
Yeah.
for all these years.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, eat my poo. I don't think that's the saying, but it seems like it was forged on the playgrounds of grade school right there. Well, anyway, moving on from the important work of the Chris rankings, what movie are we talking about today?
First Wives Club. Cult classic. It's a cult classic. Look it up on IMDb. Or
Okay.
Google. It's a cult classic.
I don't think like a well-placed Hollywood movie with a lot. Well, I don't know. That's debatable. Okay, fine. Cult classic. It is. It was not some hidden gem at the time that it came out, though.
No, it actually was very successful.
Yeah, that's not a cult classic right there.
But it is. Because it was negatively... it was successful financially, but it was negatively... Not perceived, but I feel like given the cast, it didn't, like, they wouldn't, well, we'll get to this in the trivia, but they wouldn't let it go further and do anything else with it or even have a sequel, even though it financially did well. And with this, like I said, with the cast, I mean, the cast is huge.
Would the sequel be the second Wives Club or the first Wives Club 2?
Probably the first Wives Club 2.
Yeah, well, I just saw the trailer for The Devil Wears Prada 2.
Oh, I can't wait.
And I feel like that's a stupid title. It should be The Devil Still Wears Prada.
I mean, that makes sense.
It makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. And just throwing a 2 on the movie, I feel, was lazy. So, whatever. It got made. They don't need my help, apparently. They probably don't want it either. They don't want my clever wordsmithing all up in their business. But
it is interesting. Like, what makes them decide to just make it numerical versus, like the I Know What You Did Last Summer franchise, right? Versus the Scream franchise.
Well, yeah. I still know what you did last summer. And then I still know what you did last summer, the prior summer. I still know what you did 2 summers ago. I don't know what the names are.
I don't remember either. But it's still, like, comparing those two movie franchises, right? Scream never tried to do that. It was always Scream 1 through whatever number we just got.
Yeah. I feel like you just have to start down the path. And when you have a title like The Devil Wears Prada, I feel like The Devil Still Wears Prada is just such a good, easy sequel title that got overlooked in the press packet there. So,
I mean, maybe there's method to their madness.
Yeah, probably people don't know that there was a 1. So by throwing a 2 on it, they're like, this will reaffirm for people that this is, in fact, the sequel, because we're trying to make them watch the original, maybe.
True, especially because it's a different generation now.
Yeah, whatever. I feel like it was a missed opportunity, and they can send their angry emails to nick@thesheist.com or badmovieswelove@thesheist.com, and I will read them, maybe on the air.
It's okay. We're going to see it anyway.
Apparently. Okay, well, let's open the film file and take a look at the details. This film is directed by Hugh Wilson, written by Olivia Goldsmith and Robert Harling, starring Goldie Hawn, Bette Midler, and the late, great Diane Keaton, featuring Maggie Smith, Sarah Jessica Parker, Dan Hedaya, Stockard Channing, Victor Garber, Heather Locklear, Elizabeth Berkley, Marcia Gay Harden, Timothy Oliphant, and the also late and great Rob Reiner. Music by Mark Shaman, cinematography by Donald E. Thoren, edited by John Bloom, with production design by Peter S. Larkin, and costume design I forgot to actually mark down. Stephen Collins. Look at that. Swooping in with the save. I typed the costume designer part, but I forgot the other part. So, a ridiculous cast of Hollywood, some Hollywood royalty. Otherwise, Hollywood, mostly A-listers, I would say. I mean, granted, Timothy Oliphant was not an A or even B-lister at this point in his career. And Elizabeth Berkley was doing Showgirls the year prior to this, when her career went into freefall. But Stockard Channing, of course, long, lengthy history. Sarah Jessica Parker, also very young in this, goes on to a very good career at this time. Dan Hedaya, fantastic character actor. Maggie Smith.
Yeah, huge.
Yeah. Impressively huge, one might say.
That's right.
That's not a penis joke. Anyway, maybe it is.
Well, you just made it one now.
We were talking sort of about this being a cult classic. And I feel like with the kind of star power that's invested here, it's hard for me to envision it as such because of that, right? Like, yes, I understand, but this had like the weight of Hollywood behind it at the time. And yes, there are times where that happens and that movie ends up not being good and it falls through the cracks and it doesn't succeed, and then it gets picked up when it hits cable or home video and becomes a hit, and then that becomes a cult classic. And I feel like with this movie, that's not really what happened. It was successful, but then it sort of went to the back burner because it wasn't quite time for this movie. Although The Craft is 1996 as well. Spice World is the year after this.
Was it?
Yeah, Spice World is 97.
Okay.
And then Charlie's Angels is 2000. Josie and the Pussycats is 2001. Debs is 2004. So this is on the front end of this wave. But I feel like it's a good movie to close out the month with, because it's the one movie I think that most directly deals with like adult women. Not to say that, you know, there's no adults in any of the other movies, but, you know, these are women that have been married and separated and or divorced
With kids
versus all of the other stories where none of that's even on the horizon in any of the other stories we did.
Yeah, plus I feel like they're playing their age in this.
Yeah, which again, none, like all those other movies, like they're significantly younger women and the demographic is skewing younger, where this is sort of like the Nora Ephron era, or, you know, like Sleepless in Seattle, When Harry Met Sally. It's like on the tail end of that wave of kind of adult movies. And so I think maybe that's probably the reason the formula maybe felt tired at that point. I don't know. We'll look at Critics Corner when we get there, but what is your first memory with First Wives Club?
Well, it's funny because it was pretty much First Wives Club, Grease, Dirty Dancing, that were kind of movies I had on rotation, which is surprising that my mom let me watch all of those movies at this time. But maybe it was I was introduced to them a little bit older after they came out, because of course I don't remember seeing any of those in theater, and I don't think they were all out necessarily. But for this one in particular, I don't remember how old I was when I watched it, but I remember being obsessed with it at a very young age. Of course, a lot of it had to do with the ending sequence with them singing and dancing out of the facility that they're at. But yeah, I don't really remember if it was like my mom's like, oh, sit down, you should watch this, because it's very heavy. There's a lot of very heavy themes in this movie. And I also feel like, similar to Grease and Dirty Dancing, the more I watched it as I got older, the more I picked up on it. And I was like, oh, I can't believe I could watch this at a young age, right? But a lot of it didn't make sense. I was also a huge Stockard Channing fan, of course, because of Grease. And fun trivia fact, we have the same birthday. Not the same year, obviously. But so I was always, I love the rest of the cast, but I was always intrigued by the storyline with Stockard Channing, because that was not common at all in movies in the 90s that I at least saw.
Well, it's interesting that part of the story where she commits suicide happens early, and then it's like the catalyst for why the friends get back together. And then a lot of the rest of the movie doesn't deal with her suicide, which is interesting.
Until the end, yeah.
I mean, she's really not a character in the movie in the way that the other ladies in the group are, which is a shame, because Stockard Channing is a good actress, and I feel like she would have been a lot of fun had we actually sort of seen them be friends before this thing happened, rather than kind of like burying the lead here, you know? Because like we don't even get to know her really by the time she does the deed. And
yeah, just based on the flashback.
yeah, exactly. So we don't have a relationship with her, and then we're sort of learning about her through her friends, but that's not really happening in a, I don't know, it's not happening in cold light because they're all dealing with their own issues, and it's sort of, they reconnect at her funeral, and that's when we start learning about them. And I mean, it is a nice bookend that they sort of put the work into opening like a trauma center for women to avoid the situation that their friend ended up in. I think that is a sweet like soliloquy to put on the end of the film here. But yeah, just like selfishly, I think she's too good of an actress to not be in the movie that much. And so I just kind of like, yeah, I wish she was in it more.
Yeah, me too. I think, though, they make an interesting kind of full circle with the theme in her storyline, because they do talk about her. They establish, right? We see the flashbacks from college, and that's really the last time they all see each other and hang out regularly, right? So we hear about her and their relationships and how they all kind of drifted apart with getting married and having kids, and Elise being in Hollywood and just living very different lifestyles. And we learned that early on with after the funeral, and they go and have drinks and eat and all that stuff. But I think it's interesting too, because like there are times where they weave it back in a little bit, where Diane Keaton's character, when she's going through the stuff with her ex, will be like, this is why Cynthia was did what she did, because of loneliness and like being disconnected from her friends, and like, this isn't okay. We have to do better after they get into that fight. So I do feel like while it's not the main theme through the rest of it, it is also still very relatable, because it's very easy as adults to get distracted by your life and lose sight of friendships or certain relationships if you're not completely tied together or have some kind of common denominator in different lifestyles. And then they bring it back full circle, because when they're at each other's throats and they're talking about what the greater good is and what's the better cause, they do bring it back to her again and are like, look, what she went through is kind of like they were all at their breaking point to a certain degree. Now let's really focus on what's important. Let's get back at our husbands, but also, the realization that they don't want other women or other people in general to feel this kind of pain or hurt or loneliness, to inspire the trauma center. I feel like they did a good job with,
Yeah, no, I agree. Back to the matter at hand of taking revenge on the husbands.
It was fantastic. It was so fun.
Well, we've talked about other movies from the 90s, whether it be Hook or Jingle All the Way, and kind of undressing the themes of those movies and how it comes down to sort of like parenting and relationships. I think in both of those, the father is having not an affair, but he's having the borderline estranged relationship with his wife and kid, or at least there's stress in the household between the dad and the kid and the husband and the wife. I think work is getting in the way a lot. And so to see that a lot of that, like, it's not like there's not movies like that getting made, but I feel like that kind of stuff just like maybe doesn't seep into a lot of mid-level movies at this point that are made for general audience consumption. But, we talked a little bit about this being dangerously outside the zone of interest or the zone of scoring for this movie. So let's take a look at the tail of the tape. Okay, so we have an IMDb score of 6.5, a Metascore of 59, a Letterboxd score of 3.7, Rotten Tomatoes critic score of 51%, Rotten Tomatoes audience score of 68%, and a Google users review rating of 72% positive, giving us a Bad Movies We Love total score of 64.83 out of 100. So just under the line. And honestly, when I ran the numbers, I was worried that it was going to go skew a little bit too high. Not that I wouldn't have done it. I just would have been like, oh, it's good movies we love instead. But it did go up a little bit since the last time I ran the numbers in January. It ticked up a few points, probably because people are watching for Diane Keaton and
Rob Reiner.
Yeah, so I think either the audience score for Rotten Tomatoes went up and something else went up. But
didn't IMDb go up? Because I feel like it was not a 6.5 before.
It's entirely possible. Yeah. But yeah, it went from like a 64.1 or 2 or something to a 64.8. So it gained a little bit. No deductions from those judges to earn those tenths of a point.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's a gymnastics joke for people out there listening. I'm sorry.
I'm impressed.
Yeah, it's good. I just threw that in there. I'm the master of segues.
You are, apparently.
Yeah. Haiku Magoo.
Is that time?
It's not that time.
Oh. Then that was not.
We'll come back to
segue.
that. It is not. No, that was not a good one. Just saying. I'm getting good at this after 5 years. But, yeah, I feel like scoring-wise, it's probably lower than I think it realistically is. Like, I'm not a stickler about scores. I don't score movies. I don't rank movies. I feel like that's not my bag, baby. But that's a Austin Powers joke for those of you listening. I'm sorry. I feel like realistically, this is probably like closer to a 7 out of 10 range movie than a 6 out of 10 range movie. So it's probably good that it clicked up a little bit. I don't know how much reappraisal it'll go through over the years because I don't know how much it will get revisited without two sort of very high profile deaths as part of it, you know?
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, honestly, I would say it's got to be Diane Keaton because I kind of forgot Rob Reiner was in this.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a small role in it, but he is funny. And thinking back to my experience with the movie, like there were scenes that stood out to me that I remembered, but for the most part, like I didn't remember the movie as a whole. So it was like watching it sort of for the first time again. And seeing it with fresh eyes was fun because you get to look back at this. And I think especially given all of the other movies, I mean, we just watched it again this morning because we initially watched it back in January. I didn't realize that it was that long ago, but my end of the planning committee wasn't doing a good job. So I had forgotten a lot of it, and then I needed to just get a refresher. I was like, I feel like if we put it on, it'll come back to me, and it did. But yeah, watching it as an adult, definitely different, and all the men are shitty.
Gross.
Even, I mean, what's his name? Morty? He's the one that's like kind of decent, but also is still gross-ish.
Which were the scenes that you remembered?
Rob Reiner talking to Goldie Hawn about her plastic surgery face.
Some interesting trivia on that.
Well, we'll have to go back to that. Obviously, the primary, like, the dancing, singing scene, the first one.
You do remember that? But when I kept singing the "You Don't Own Me" parts of the lyrics, you didn't understand the reference.
No. Well, because that song has come up again in popular culture since this movie 30 years ago.
Oh, I know that, but this song is still First Wives Club to me.
That's fair. Yeah, that's kind of it. I'm trying to think.
Nothing even with Sarah Jessica Parker?
Nope, didn't remember that she was in it at all. Definitely didn't remember Elizabeth Berkley.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, who knows?
All right.
Who knows? This was not a movie that my mom's like, hey, watch this. She's like, watch Species. I'm like, sure. Alien sex monster? Let's go. We should watch Species. It's the opposite of this movie. Well, let me take a moment. We'll set the table. We'll look at some of the production notes for First Wives Club. Olivia Goldsmith's 1992 debut novel, The First Wives Club, became a bestseller, drawing on her experience with divorce and gender inequality. Before publication, Paramount executive Sherry Lansing saw strong film potential, viewing it as an empowering story about women rather than one of victimhood. After becoming CEO of Paramount, Lansing brought in producer Scott Rudin to develop the film. The project went through multiple writers, including Robert Harling and Paul Rudnick, with Rudnick later criticizing the final script. Nancy Meyers was initially considered to direct but passed, and Hugh Wilson ultimately took on the role. Casting for The First Wives Club was led by Eileen Starger and took several months, combining major offers and auditions. Bette Midler and Goldie Hawn were first cast, with Hawn ultimately taking a rewritten, more glamorous role. And Diane Keaton joined as the third lead after Sally Field declined. Several roles shifted during production. Mandy Patinkin dropped out and was replaced by Stephen Collins, and Bronson Pinchot replaced David Rakoff after just one day of filming. Jon Stewart filmed scenes that were later cut, and Elizabeth Berkley took a role initially offered to Jenny McCarthy. The film also featured early appearances from Timothy Olyphant and cameos from figures like Ivana Trump, Gloria Steinem, and Kathy Lee Gifford. Filming for The First Wives Club took place over 3 months in New York City, primarily at Kaufman Astoria Studios, with iconic locations like the Pierre, the Waldorf Astoria, Central Park, and the Chrysler Building featured throughout the film. Production design drew inspiration from glamorous 1930s Hollywood, aiming for a heightened, stylized version of New York luxury. The film's finale, a musical performance of You Don't Own Me by the three leads, was added late in production and filmed in a single take. Behind the scenes, production proved challenging, with reported tensions between the cast, director Hugh Wilson, and producer Scott Rudin, as well as difficult shooting conditions and long hours. The First Wives Club was a major box office success, earning over $181 million worldwide and ranking as the 11th highest grossing film of 1996. It also topped the year's PG-rated films. The movie opened at number 1 in North America with $18.9 million and held the top spot for 3 weeks, becoming a standout sleeper hit. And its success was largely attributed to attracting audiences underserved by the action-heavy films dominating that summer.
Interesting. I learned about some of that actually in the trivia.
Oh, well, I'm sure they're all pulling from the same place, if I'm not entirely mistaken. But yeah, this movie was massive success, as they said. 11th highest grossing film of 1996. Great as a bit of counter-programming to a year full of heavy action movies. And let's take a look at what else was on the board in 1996. So this movie's going up against Independence Day, Twister, Mission Impossible, The Rock,
The Rock,
featuring your cousin, The Nutty Professor, Ransom, The Birdcage, A Time to Kill, 101 Dalmatians, and then The First Wives Club, rounds out the top 10. I don't know why it said 11th on the other list, but Eraser, the Arnold Schwarzenegger film, is number 11, which is a lot of fun and is a bad movie that I may talk about at some point on this show. But yeah, that top 10 is packed. The top 4 is insane. Independence Day, Twister, Mission Impossible, and The Rock all in the same year?
That's crazy. I didn't realize they were all in the same year. I mean, I remember Independence Day. It was a 4th of July movie.
Yeah, well, so think about this movie, but then look what's below it that you would not expect, maybe. Space Jam, 15. Jerry Maguire at 18.
Wow.
Yeah. One of my favorite movies, 12 Monkeys, at 22. But then you have Executive Decision, Jingle All the Way is a 1996 movie, Jumanji.
Wow.
Jumanji's 30th on this list. Toy Story, the first Toy Story.
That's great. Wait, the first Toy Story came out when we were kids?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
You don't remember Toy Story coming out when we were kids?
No. Maybe because there's been so many since then that I just have always assumed I watched Toy Story when my nieces and nephews were kids.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. I think that may have been the domestic list, which is why it's sort of inverted a couple of the positions there. Because I'm like, yeah, Jerry Maguire, there's no way it's 18th. And it looks like with international, it made it to about 153. So, and then Toy Story, of course, is a very successful film. But yeah, like a very good year in 1996 that this movie has to compete with and does well. And so like a mid-budget adult movie that's rated PG, which I think is probably fairly close to PG-13, but there's no cursing really.
There's no profanity.
There's no violence. There's no blood. There's no nudity. So, but I mean, like, I feel like it's a movie for adults that probably should be rated R just for like clarification, although it doesn't use any of that rating.
Maybe I did see it then when it came out. I don't remember seeing it in the theaters, but if it was PG, then I was probably allowed to see it.
Yeah. I mean, you probably were. I did not see this in theaters.
I didn't see it.
I was
in
watching
theaters.
all that other shit on the list.
I'm sure.
But the movie cost $26 million.
And it made...
181 worldwide.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Its domestic did 105. So very, very strong overall. Also known as El Club de las Divorciadas.
Ooh, I kind of like the sound of that.
Yeah. It's the L Club. So I think by all accounts, a successful movie, a well-liked movie. It's odd to me that it even fell into the lower atmosphere here at Bad Movies We Love, where I would even risk taking a chance on this, but you wanted to watch it, and I think I ended up building the whole month pretty much around this and maybe Spice World. I forgot what the other one was, but
yeah, it was shortly after Diane Keaton died, and I was like, we have to watch Family Stone and we have to watch First Wives Club.
and
I mean,
we
there's
did.
so many other movies, but those were the two that...
Annie Hall.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's had a great career, and she got a great moment in memoriam at the Oscars, and
She did.
well deserved. So we're talking about it
Yep.
one way or another.
Still a classic.
Yeah, it is. You know what else is a classic?
What?
The Synopsis haiku.
Oh, it's time.
That's a Synopsis haiku joke for those of you listening. It is time.
All right.
Do you want me to go first?
I can go first.
Okay, by all means.
Well, who usually goes first?
Usually if it's someone's first time on the show, I will go first so that they don't feel too shy.
Mm-hmm.
And then we just kind of volleyball it back and forth if they're not new on the show, like you are not.
So do you want to go first? Or do you want me to
No,
go first?
I want you to go first.
Okay, then. I think I did this right. Are you ready?
Are you ready? Bum, bum. It's a Degeneration X joke for you listeners out there. They're going to hate me after this episode. Anyway, please, the floor is yours.
Divorce after death. Don't get mad, get everything. Sing You Don't Own Me.
That's good. That is very good.
Is that good?
Yeah.
I did all by myself.
Yeah.
Counted a bunch of times.
When you said divorce, I was like, ooh, the divorce force.
Uh-huh.
Or Ross the Divorcer. That's a Friends joke for those of you listening. This episode is stacked with references.
It is.
It's very unusual for me. I don't really go this hard on the references. So if you enjoy it, you're welcome. And if not, send your angry emails to badmovieswelove@theshice.com. I'll read them and I'll reply, hopefully kindly. All right, my turn. So, wives thrice scorned by men seek retribution in style. Leverage is a bitch.
Very good. Very good.
Thank you. Thank you. Leverage is a biatch.
Now-
And the tables have turned, and
Yeah.
all these salty men getting their comeuppance.
Fantastic. Now, did you do that now, or did you do that when we first watched it?
The haiku? I did that today.
Okay.
Yeah. I did it like before we started recording.
Okay. I was just curious.
Yeah. That's fair.
As did I.
I usually, like, I feel like I come up with better ones when I write them as I'm recording, or excuse me. I feel like I do a better job of them when I write them as I'm watching the movie because I'm more in the zone. But, you know, sometimes the inspiration does not always strike.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I'm going to ask you now, why do you suspect that this movie ended up having a reputation of being a borderline bad movie?
That's a good question. I feel like, I mean, especially listening to all the other stories, or not stories, the movies that it was up against at the time, and given how Hollywood is in general, it was up against a lot of very significant male-centric movies.
Fair.
And this is about women in their 40s or 50s going through divorce and losing a friend, which is completely out of the realm of most Hollywood movie themes that would get a very fast track, like, green light to filming and being produced and released, especially in the 90s. Unfortunately, I don't feel like that's any different today. But I could see people being like, who's going to want to go watch a movie, even though it's less than 2 hours, which is great.
Yeah. Who wants to watch this movie about a bunch of divorcees?
Exactly. In a very male-centric world.
Yeah.
Or male-dominant, I mean, movie especially themed era. You know, you have Independence Day, Will Smith. Mission Impossible, Tom Cruise. The Rock, Nicolas Cage,
Yeah.
Sean Connery. Right? Like, what other movies on that top list was women-centric?
None.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, that's why I said it was impressive that it came in at 11th. And when I was like, ooh, this is a 1996 movie, I am curious because I know 96 is stacked. So let's take a look at the box office.
Yeah.
I mean, so Tom Cruise has 2 with Maguire and Mission Impossible.
Right.
Schwarzenegger's got 2. I don't know if Will Smith ended up having a second one. I think Nick Cage only did The Rock this year. I don't know. He's worked a lot. It's possible he had another. I think Leaving Las Vegas was 95, though. And then Con Air was 97. But yeah, you're going up against, like, big-time legacy actors. And, like, in fairness, I love all those movies.
I do too.
Yeah. I mean, I'll watch Independence Day. But, like...
Watch Jerry Maguire on repeat, too, once I discovered it.
It's back in theaters.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it an anniversary?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
it's the 30th.
30th. Duh.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, looking at this and The Craft both in their 30th anniversary windows, I feel like The Craft was also, like, more mature, I think is the word that I want to use here, than Josie and the Pussycats or Spice Girls or Debs or even Charlie's Angels. Like, granted, the Charlie's Angels cast is older than the cast for The Craft at the time of filming, and it's about them being spies. I feel like the general tone is, like, sillier and more fun, and The Craft, like, you have at least one character who's tried to commit suicide, and it's like a group of women sort of, and the things that rip them apart, mostly being male energy in that movie in the form of a deity that empowers them with magic. But nonetheless...
Proving my point.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, there's an interesting distinction between the movies made in 1996 and then the movies made in the 2000s and post-era.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, you got Charlie's Angels 2000, Debs 2004, Josie and the Pussycats 2001, Spice World's 97. That's a year after this. And even Spice World, I mean, it's crazy, but it doesn't, like, sort of operate on the maturity wavelength, I would say. It's not immature, and that story is about, like, one of their friends being pregnant and them having to decide whether or not, like, their commitment to their friendship is more valuable than the commitment to their audience, but being very aware that they're sort of capitalizing on a market that values them being the Spice Girls. So smarter than it gets credit for, but definitely different tonally than a movie like this where, you have a lady wearing a pantsuit in this movie. None of these other movies, I think, have pantsuits, except for when in Charlie's Angels you have Drew Barrymore and Cameron Diaz dressed up as men with fake mustaches.
Oh, yeah.
Which is hilarious, but that's the only time that they sort of dress in a way that isn't meant to sexualize them. And so, yeah, I feel like this movie is so different. I'm glad we closed out with it because we are closer to the age of these characters than we are anybody else in this series of films. So it feels more relevant.
Yeah, especially because, again, a common theme in Hollywood and in general is even this movie is sexualizing the younger female actors in this movie, not the female leads.
Correct, yes. That's the whole point of Sarah Jessica Parker and Elizabeth Berkley in this movie is to be the trophy companion to these
the arm candy,
these men experiencing their midlife crises. Yeah, aren't you glad I just want lizards?
Yes, thank you. Is this your midlife crises?
I don't know.
thing?
I mean, I hope I'm not at midlife yet, but realistically, probably. So
that's fine.
Lizards.
That's fine.
Yeah,
Stick with that, please.
Lizard. Okay, well, let's take a look at the trailer from 1996.
Before we get to the trailer, it's time for a quick commercial from the multiverse. It's a bird. No, it's a plane. No, it's the divorce force. One man, countless divorces. Follow the adventures of a lowly paleontologist as he navigates the waters of dating, romance, even love, but always inevitably divorce. His first wife turned out to be a lesbian. He said the wrong name at the altar of his second wedding, and then he got blackout drunk and married in Vegas to his third wife, then lied to her about getting that marriage annulled. And he's only 30 years old. Imagine what other zany adventures he'll get into over the course of his next divorce. So, if you like divorce comedy for adults, make sure to check out The Divorce Force, coming to TBN on Thursday nights. And now, back to the show.
Do it, Morris. Do it to me now. I need it. You're the only one who does it the way I like it.
If I give you any more collagen, your lips are going to look like they got stuck in a pool drain.
Morning, Mohammed.
Morning, Miss Elliott.
Leave me alone. I'm very fragile right now.
What is that fragrance? Mint Milano, Chips Ahoy?
Melamars.
Mom! Hi, sweetie. Hi. You know you're in a gay bar?
I know, honey. I know, and that's what's so great. There are just so many nice lesbians. Just everywhere you look, there's lesbians. What's the matter?
Come on, at least you can tell me. The cheekbones, the jawline. Did you just have a little bit of the full Ivana?
Okay. All right, I have been freshened up a little bit.
What do they do with the stuff they take off? You get to keep it?
I gave Aaron a home. I washed the shorts. I ironed them. I starched them.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, well, I mean, I supervised.
Hello.
What's the matter, Morty? Can't you buy her a whole dress?
At least, hi, I'm Phoebe. I've seen all your movies, and I want to be just like you. Only me.
He brought her to my son's bar mitzvah.
Is she a gift?
What are we talking about? Are we talking about revenge?
No, I am talking about justice. Put it in there. Okay, First Wives Club will come to order.
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
Don't you touch that. Drop it, you heat-seeking hairpin.
Come on, stop it.
You don't own me. Don't try to change me in any way.
This is about justice.
Hello, sunshine. Wake up. and smell the odor. Happy days.
Bette Midler, Goldie, Hawn, Diane, Keaton.
We're so 90s. We can help them rise, we can help them fall.
The First Wives Club.
Ladies, remember what? Don't get mad. Get everything.
So fun. I want to watch it again.
We just did.
But like really watch it again.
Yeah, I mean, it was on.
You know what I mean?
I do. I feel like they're all really good comedic actresses, and it seems like there's less of a space in Hollywood for women to be funny. And there is definitely a stereotype of that, like, women are not funny. And I had a similar conversation when we were talking about Charlie's Angels, about how good of a comedic actress Cameron Diaz is.
Oh my gosh, she's so good.
And how much, like, her physicality really lends itself. I was like, she's sort of like the Jim Carrey of women. She's got a very expressive face, and she's, like, not shy when it comes to sort of, you know, using her body as a physical extension of that comedy. And I don't know that she gets enough credit for that. Even when she was at the height of Something About Mary and The Holiday and, like, the top of her career, I don't know that she ever really got the kind of credit that she should. Like, because she's also attractive, I don't know that, you know, the comedy was able to override that for her.
Yeah, and I think we talked about this when we watched The Holiday too, because so much of her character in The Holiday and her humor and were those mannerisms and just like the, you know, the nuances of her in general, and they're so subtle that they're so great, but it's not obvious that she's doing it either. And I agree. I mean, I think she got boxed into the beautiful blonde actress, you know, category, and could have definitely done more. It's maybe why she didn't stick, or why she took that huge break, you know, from Hollywood.
No, 10, 11 years?
Yeah. But she's definitely one. I mean, for me, she's been that type of actor since My Best Friend's Wedding. She was all about that, or at least not all of it, but, you know, her character in that movie, and that was maybe one of her introductory roles, or at least what I knew her from. And she had those same kind of instances, not as much, of course, because she was still newer, but a lot of her, like, little quirkiness or nuances or just kind of facial expressions that she could add into scenes were so natural and organic, but made her also so lovable.
Yeah, not that I want to get sidetracked on Cameron Diaz. I just glanced at her filmography, and I think I could probably do a Cameron Diaz month based on the numbers I'm looking at. So
I'm going to do it.
It's fine. We'll pick something.
But I feel like my Cameron Diaz picks would not be probably bad movies.
Well, I mean, like, Bad Teacher's a 5.7, so...
What is My Best Friend's Wedding?
Oh, I don't know. I'm not looking that far back right now.
Oh.
I got to scroll back 30 years. Not going to happen.
Okay, fine.
We'll run those numbers later. But in that same vein, I feel like Bette Midler is a very good comedic actress. Always has been.
Goldie Hawn.
Goldie Hawn, another very good comedic actress. I think they're all very good actresses in general.
Yeah.
But, like, getting three women together and being like, hey, this is going to be a comedy about your divorces is probably a hard sell in Hollywood. But obviously it resonated. And I don't know if that's like a star power thing, because they each sort of have their own separate fan base, sort of like based on the work that they had done beforehand. But, like, they gel really well together. Their chemistry is really good together.
Okay, yeah.
They all... They're three co-leads too, which is tough. And so I feel like Charlie's Angels did a good job of trying to balance it, but I think it was still a little bit more Drew Barrymore and Cameron Diaz centric versus Lucy Liu. I feel like in Debs, there's definitely a lead character and then sort of like the other characters. But in this, I feel like they all are so good that there is no like, oh, I sort of wrestled the movie away from my co-star. Like they're all holding their own and they all like really share a co-lead in a way that is uncommon, I think, in movies in general.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's true, especially when they're all females in that sense too. I think, I mean, and they're all powerful. They're all huge leading lady stars.
They are. And so, yeah, to like cohabitate that same space within the movie and be able to do it well and to not feel like you're scene stealing or anything like that. You know, I just feel like the balance is really good between the three of them. And I think it takes like real sort of like veteran craftsmanship and acting skill to not be in a position where that happens. And I'm trying to think of just like most other movies, even when it's like, oh, a romantic interest between two people, there does seem to usually be an imbalance in that romantic relationship in one direction or the other. And it's not common to have like true sort of 50-50 equity in a film like that. And so to see that this is like actually like in thirds for each of them is pretty impressive.
I agree. And they, like you said, their chemistry was fantastic. And I never felt like one was overpowering the other or even trying to.
No.
Like there was no personal power struggle. And they just gelled well. They became like one character to me, the three of them.
Yeah. Sort of
like
like joined at the hip.
Yeah, you know, like how I can never
Cerberus.
answer the question of like who's my favorite Friends character, right? Because I view all of them together as one unit, and that's how they presented in this. They were just one unit.
Yeah, I think it's an unheralded skill on their part to be able to do that. But now that we're at this point in the show, do you want to lead us with the charge of some trivia? We're not going to do it the way that we usually do it.
Yep, I'm ready. Some of it overlapped with your producer notes, so it'll just add to it, which is kind of cool.
Time for trivia!
So kind of to speak to what we were talking about the success of this, it was mentioned that, like you mentioned, the 105 million domestically, I think is what it made.
I think 108, yeah.
Or 108. I think it was 105. But the reason why I was saying about the like classic component of it is that they never greenlit a sequel, even though the whole cast said yes and wanted to do it, because they chalked it up, the studio between studios and I think Hugh Wilson, they chalked it up to it being a fluke of a success, which I find bizarre.
I mean, yeah, that tells you how much like the studio system like is just not into women-led projects, especially at that time. It's just like, oh yeah, we gave you $26 million, you turned it into 180. You guys want to do that again? Yeah, it was an accident, I think.
Yep. So Bette Midler also had said just before the movie opened, she was told it would not do very well because it was competing against action movies with male stars such as Bruce Willis.
Did Bruce Willis even? Yeah, he had Die Hard with a Vengeance. No, that's 97. What the
Yeah.
fuck was Bruce Willis doing?
I don't
They
know.
even lied to her. Like, Bruce Willis don't even got a movie this year. I mean, he probably did, but...
The movie opened number 1 and outgrossed those action movies.
Yeah. I mean, because it's like, think about, like, the only options you have, like, for the majority of the summer is action. So it's like, all right, drop the husband off. Let him go do the fucking alien thing or the spy thing or the sports thing.
Or any of the above.
All of the things. And then, we'll meet you after the movie's over.
Yeah. And then doctors created Goldie Hawn's simulated collagen treatment by injecting her lips with a harmless saline solution, which sounds crazy. Though temporary, Hawn later remarked in interviews that the experience was quite painful and that it had discouraged her from ever getting collagen for real.
Wow. Okay. Well, I mean, that says something.
And there's something further down, but I'm going to reference it quickly for this trivia piece. But I don't know, did you pick up in the trailer some of the things that weren't in the actual movie?
No.
So one of the things was the reference when Bette Midler is talking to Goldie Hawn about all the work she's had done. Like, did you do this or did you do the Ivana?
The full Ivana.
The full Ivana. And they ended up changing that line to, did you just have a little bit or the whole enchilada? So that line about Ivana wasn't in the movie because they changed it once Ivana Trump was cast in a cameo.
Like, yeah, we probably don't want to do that to her.
One of the main topics for satire in this movie is the constant societal pressure on middle-aged women to stay young looking and beautiful, with the result that some of them undergo various cosmetic surgical procedures to try and achieve and maintain that youth and beauty despite the potential dangers of elective surgery. As an example, Elise's plastic surgeon protests that if he gives her any more collagen, your lips are going to look like they got stuck in a pool drain. The author of the novel on which this movie was based, Olivia Goldsmith, died in 2004 at the age of 54 due to complications from anesthesia during elective cosmetic surgery.
Whoa.
Mind-blowing, right?
Whoa. No way. That's crazy.
Yes.
Yeah, that's wild.
Right? Out of all the actresses who play wives in this movie, Diane Keaton is the only one to have never been married. Bette Midler is still married to her first husband since 1984, making Goldie Hawn the only divorcee in real life. But I thought Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell were still together.
Maybe she was divorced before him.
Maybe. Okay. Fair. Let's see. Oh, all three lead actresses celebrated their 50th birthdays during the making of this movie, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. I mean, what's funny is like we see career resurgences where it's like, think of like what Kate Winslet's doing now. I wouldn't say it's a resurgence, but like she's been doing good work for a long time. You saw Demi Moore in The Substance. You know, it's like, oh, look what she's capable of like this whole time. And it's like, yeah, you should have been never stopped casting her in the first place.
Yeah,
right?
Not a surprise.
But what does she say in the movie Goldie Hawn? She's like, you get to play the love interest, the
mom.
It wasn't mom, it was something else, but the lawyer, I think, or the grandma.
Yeah.
Right. And so she's not wrong. And unfortunately, like we're still looking at that now.
That's still very relevant. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This does talk about Jon Stewart, which you had mentioned in the production notes. Bette Midler and Sarah Jessica Parker appeared in Hocus Pocus.
That's right.
Where both characters also shared a romantic partner with disastrous results. Bette Midler shoots a dig at Shelley, Sarah Jessica Parker's character, calling her that L'Oreal crotch jockey. And Sarah Jessica Parker was, in fact, a spokesperson for L'Oreal at the time.
Crotch jockey, huh?
Yeah, crotch jockey. This is the second time that Diane Keaton and Jennifer Dundas played mother and daughter. The first being Mrs. Sofel in 1984.
All right.
Oh, yeah. The theatrical trailer features snippets of scenes that were not included in the final cut. I think that scene with Bette Midler and Sarah Jessica Parker's character was not in the movie where they're fighting with a knife.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that was in the movie.
Sounds fun, though.
Knife fight. Jenny McCarthy was turned down the role of Phoebe, which you talked about.
Too small of a role for her. Yeah.
Fine. Didn't need any. Diane Keaton and Sarah Jessica Parker appeared in The Family Stone together.
Yes, they did. Is that it?
Sarah Jessica Parker is not listed in the opening credits, but only in the closing ones.
Interesting.
I mean, I guess she's kind of a side role.
She is. She wasn't quite the Sarah Jessica Parker she is now back then.
True. They do talk about some of the conflict between the cast and Hugh Wilson. More specifically, Bette Midler, surprisingly. So maybe that's why they didn't also want to do a sequel. But
I heard there was issues with the producer too, Rudin.
yes, but they pretty much just say it was mostly because they thought it was a fluke.
Well, I mean, they didn't make a second one, so I think there's like a show called First Wives Club, but I don't know if it's based on this or not, or it might have just been like a one-off reboot by somebody else that purchased the rights, but it doesn't involve anybody from this movie, so can't really litmus test it in Hollywood that way. But let's head over to the bonus wheel, and since there's 3 main characters, we're going to get 3 questions from the bonus wheel.
Okay.
Varying degrees of disgust await. Okay, this is a fun one. So you get to fan cast a modern remake of this movie right now, or yeah, I guess remake is technically what it would be.
I mean, that's really hard because I love them so much in these roles.
Well, who would you want to see in it now?
Okay. I guess I'd say maybe Rachel McAdams.
Okay. Is she 50?
No.
Okay.
Well, they turned 50 in real life, but I don't think they were playing 50-year-olds. I think they're probably early 40s. I can't remember the timeline. But you said it's modern, so it doesn't matter their age, right?
Yeah, I guess that's fine.
But I would also want Kate Winslet.
Yeah, Kate Winslet would be good. Also a good comedic actress that doesn't
Yeah.
get enough.
Rachel McAdams, Kate Winslet.
Throw Demi Moore in there.
Demi Moore.
And that's 3.
All right. And I was trying to think.
Yeah, that's all you need. You don't need to go through the whole husbands and younglings and.
That's good. That'll take too long.
It will, yeah. So don't worry about that. We just want the big 3. Okay. If you could ask one character from the film a question, who's the character and what is the question?
I've got to say Diane Keaton, R.I.P. Is the question supposed to be about the movie or like filming of the movie?
You get
or
to
just
ask
the character?
You get to ask a character a question. So they wouldn't.
Oh.
The character wouldn't know about the filming of the movie.
Gotcha,
so it has to be in world.
Okay, Annie. This might be kind of lame, but would you ever try therapy again, even if it was just for yourself, after catching, I don't remember his character name, Stephen Collins in The Therapist, having an affair?
Yeah, that's a fair question. That was a bad therapist.
That was a really bad therapist. That's why therapists have a bad rap.
Yeah, I mean, she could probably use it, in fairness. They all could.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's a good one. All right, last question. Off the wheel. Round and round we go. Where we stop, only the human centipede knows, but this ain't that question.
Thank God.
What line of dialogue from this movie would you want to have on a T-shirt?
Ooh. Can I say 2?
Sure.
Obviously, you don't own me.
Yes, good choice.
But also, even though it was Ivana who said it, don't get mad, get everything.
Yeah, no, that's a good one.
It's very iconic.
Yeah, no, I like that. Don't get mad, get even.
Yeah.
That's a Taylor Swift joke for people that are listening and
joke/lyric.
Yeah. Reference. Yes. If you're keeping track, I think we've reached maybe a dozen references at this point in the show. Yeah.
We've exceeded that, I think.
Yeah. If you like the show and you like the references, count them up and let me know how many there were, because I'm not keeping track, obviously. So, okay, we spun the bonus wheel. Now we go to more or less. So you're just going to tell me something that you want more of from the film and something that you want less of from the film.
I mean, I'm biased, so I want more of them singing, obviously.
That's fine. That's a good answer.
I used to start this movie somewhere close to the end on repeat just to watch the singing. I think probably from the first singing scene. Anyways.
And now they have YouTube for stuff like that, which is great.
Yeah. And then what was the other part? Less of?
Yeah, what do you want less of?
I would say less of I don't know. It's important to the story though, but less of the men.
Less of the seventh heaven dad.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. Cut. Who did you say was supposed to be Stephen Collins that backed out? Mandy Patinkin?
Yes.
That would have been so much better.
Yes.
Hindsight though for them.
Yes.
Let's just say less Stephen Collins. Although Elise's husband, but he always plays that sleazy guy too. Just less of the men.
Yeah, I know he does play sleazy quite a bit. Okay, well, that's fair enough. So, was there anything else that you really wanted to talk about before we head into the woods and get the dreck from Critics Corner?
I think we covered most of it. I think in hindsight, especially hearing about the movies that it was up against and this kind of being a unicorn of a movie that year or just getting made in general in the 90s, I'm very grateful for it. And I think, the cast, of course, too, but I think that it's going to be really difficult to have a movie like this probably ever again.
Yeah, it would be hard to make this the perfect sort of storm of events that would have to come together for this is difficult, but it's not that it couldn't be done. You just need someone who really loves this movie and loves this era of movies to want to make something like this.
Yeah, because I think similar to what we've kind of talked about with other movies in this timeline, even the early 2000s, is it's very relatable. Yeah. And I think especially with our generation growing up in this timeline with our parents going through these kind of things, it's I would still consider it a unicorn. But
well, I want to point something out before we move on, is that, so this is 1996, and then Diane Keaton doesn't make a movie that I really recognize again until 2003.
Wow.
Yeah, so Marvin's Room, didn't see it. The Only Thrill, Northern Lights, The Other Sister, which I do know that movie.
I love that movie.
Hanging Up, she was on Curb Your Enthusiasm. She did Town and Country, Sister Mary Explains It All, TV movie Plan B, crossed over. So she did 4 TV movies between this and Something's Gotta Give. And then Something's Gotta Give is like a movie that recognizes her talent and the space that a movie like this in 1996 operated in and allows her to, do something like that. Bette Midler, she goes on to do... she's on The Nanny. She does some music videos. Drowning Mona, I recognize the name, but I don't remember if I've seen it. She's in What Women Want with Mel Gibson in 2000. So that's probably the one that I recognize. The Stepford Wives in 2004. Goldie Hawn kind of a short career after this. Like, I don't even think she makes 10 more movies after this. She goes from this to Everyone Says I Love You, which I didn't see, Out of Towners, Town and Country, Banger Sisters, which I think I did see, actually. It's her and I think Reva McEntire, I want to say. And then she does the Christmas Chronicles 1 and 2, and then that was 2018 and 2020, and she's been done since then.
Wow.
Yeah. So, as much as this movie was a gigantic success and all of them are good in it, I don't know that it necessarily like ruined any of their careers, but it definitely didn't seem to help, which sucks.
But I mean, I think that goes to speak to the Hollywood theme.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, the movie is a self-fulfilling prophecy in that way. All right, let's go to Critics Corner, and we'll see if anybody actually has like a reasonable opinion on this movie being bad. We've got a 59 Metascore on the board, starting with a 30 at the bottom. This is the Austin Chronicle with no attribution, so I'm going to skip over that and go to Real Views with James Berardinelli, one of the famous Jameses of the review panel here. It says, unfortunately, although there are a few nasty thorns here and there, The First Wives Club is a largely uninspired and unfunny comedy that collapses completely in the final 15 minutes. Unfunny.
When was that written, though?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, you can't see the date?
No, not from here. Some of them have the dates posted, and some of them are linkables, but Real Views doesn't seem like a publication that was around in 1996.
No,
So
never even heard of it.
Yeah, I'll say more recent. Okay, we go to the 50 range, and it's Roger Ebert from the Chicago Sun-Times says, there is undoubtedly a movie to be made about this material. A different movie. He still gave it 2 out of 4, which, you know, Ebert's been meaner than that before. That's fine. Let's move on from Raj. He didn't really have much to say. So we've got the New York Times and the Chicago Reader both on the board with 70s. So you tell me what you want to hear.
Say that again. Chicago
Reader or the New York Times?
Let's go Chicago Reader.
All right. Unattributed says, on one level, The First Wives Club is a snappy satire, well written by Robert Harling, also the author of Steel Magnolias, another vehicle for women. Snappy. That's the best I can do with a snap. Okay, let's jump over the Examiner because it's a 75, and let's go to the Washington Post. Desson Thompson. We hear from Desson a lot on here. Gave it an 80 out of 100, says, and thanks to great existential one-liners from scriptwriter Robert Harling, with appropriate plaudits to novelist Olivia Goldsmith, of course, gender warfare is made amusing for almost everyone. Almost everyone, except for Roger Ebert and James Berardinelli. Okay, we've got Peter Travers from Rolling Stone with an 88. Says, the movie from 1992 bestseller by Olivia Goldsmith isn't deathless art, but as pure entertainment, the witty revenge romp is sinfully satisfying. I feel like pull quotes that feel the need to say that this is the book written by this person are wasting part of that pull quote. But that's not on this person. That's on the person that pulled the quote to begin with.
So it said 92, and the movie was in 96.
Well, he's saying from the 1992 book that was a bestseller by Olivia Goldsmith. I'm just saying that's like a waste of words in a review. So we close it out. The San Francisco Chronicle, Edward Guthman gave it a 100. Says, it's a glamorous revenge romp, 9 to 5 mixed with anti-mame, and it gives each star the opportunity to do her best work in a long, long time.
Yep.
Right.
That's a good one.
Yeah, close it out with the hundo. All right, well, since we talked about, these stars and their other movies, what's a gateway drug movie that is going to get people to push play on The First Wives Club?
It's funny, because when I was trying to think about this and looking up different things, they often compared 9 to 5, so it's funny that that one mentioned it. But I think what I decided was really, there's something else that I just can't think of, but the closest thing I would say is Legally Blonde.
Yeah.
because it mirrors the love interest leaving Reese because she wasn't certain material and not good enough, going to a slightly younger version who's more put together and looks better on paper and all that stuff. And then she takes her revenge by proving him wrong, essentially. And then when he wants to come back to her, she's just like, no, and puts herself first. And I think it's a good, obviously it's a comedy, right? But I think it's a good self-empowering role and theme, which this eventually turns into as well. Once they get to a certain point, they're like, we need to do this for ourselves and stop focusing on taking them down, even though they take them down, and then, it's still part of the fun. But yeah, I would go Legally Blonde, which is also a classic that I love.
Yeah, it's an interesting choice.
With your girl.
Reese. Yeah.
Selma Blair.
They shot some of that at my alma mater as well.
Oh, yeah? They did.
They made us watch it in media class to be like, this is where they did it, and that's the thing and the thing. I'm like, oh, okay, you're not lying.
What would you say?
I'm going to go with Death Becomes Her.
Oh, yeah. That was on my list, too.
Because I feel like in a similar way, it gives both Goldie and Meryl a lot of opportunity to sort of play off of each other.
Yeah.
And they're both really good in it. And the crazy thing is, like, Meryl Streep goes on to, be the Meryl Streep that wins all the Oscars and is constantly praised and lauded as potentially the best living woman actor in the world.
Mm-hmm.
But Goldie Hawn is not outshined in that movie by Meryl Streep, I don't think, at all.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a dark mirror of this movie, where it's about like the lengths that you'll go to with the plastic surgery stuff to stay young. So it's like it's making a similar commentary about ageism.
Trying to live forever.
Yeah, obviously it takes that to like a crazy extreme, but there's also kind of like a shitty husband involved. So yeah, I don't know. I love that movie, and it's from a similar era as well. I think it's a couple years before this, actually. So I feel like it makes sense and is maybe more accessible, but tonally significantly different movies. But both comedies and both fun in different ways. Man, I want to watch Death Becomes Her right now. It's so good.
Yeah, we should.
We should.
After the pit. But I think that... that was also, I was going back and forth between that one, 9 to 5, and Legally Blonde. And I do think that one it's up there. It's so good.
It is. All right, well, we have started our own business of revenge here against husbands. We've been through the ringer. We've read the good reviews and the bad. Where can people find you if they want to praise you for your love of this movie and your championing of it? Should they just send their angry emails to badmovieswelove@theshice.com?
Yep. Or they can send messages to your Shice Podcast Network on social media as well.
That's right. Yeah. ShicePodNet on the socials. There's a Shice Podcast Network, which I think is also still ShicePodNet on YouTube now.
Okay.
So all the stuff is on YouTube.
Hers, His, and Ours.
Yes.
Instagram.
Yes.
Their socials.
We do have Hers, His, and Ours, our combined show where we talk about TV shows. We haven't done it in a while. We messed up our plan. A lot of stuff happened where we kind of got off track, and we're trying to find a way to get back on. And I mean, we're recording more in general together again, but we have to like actually make a decided plan. But you can catch up with the first handful of episodes of Hers, His, and Ours, where we're talking about brothers and sisters. And I think we made it to like episode 6 out of the first 20 before we had to recalibrate our trajectory with that. So I think we have a better plan, but you will be hearing from us again. So yeah, check out Hers, His, and Ours, part of the Scheist Podcast Network.
That's right.
All right, thanks, babe.
Thank you, babe, for having me.
Always a pleasure.
The pleasure's all mine.
You said it, not me. Take care, everybody. Thanks to Christen for coming back on the show and being a good sport. We initially watched the movie back in January because I knew it was on the horizon, and then I was very bad about scheduling the recording of that episode, so I'm glad she's very patient with me. But on the bright side, we got a chance to rewatch it on the morning of the No Kings March Day on the 28th, and we put that on the TV, and we made protest signs, and then we went out and exercised our constitutional rights. And then we came home and exercised our opinions. If you want to hear more of our opinions, make sure you check out Hers, His, and Ours on the Scheist Podcast Network, and consider becoming a Resistance Frontlines member so you can listen to us on Rom-Comathon. Those links are conveniently located in the show notes. And speaking of the show notes, while you're there, check out the rest of the Scheist Podcast Network, which includes Hers, His, and Ours, Ex-Friends, the original Scheist Podcast, and Kunked, a comedy podcast dedicated to Philomena Kunk. And in the show notes, you will also find the listener survey where you can give me a piece of your mind, and it's completely anonymous. And of course, thank you to everyone who took the time to listen to not just this episode, but the entire show. The podcast options are plentiful, so the fact that you took the time to listen to this show and to trust me with that time means a lot to me, and I appreciate it. So until next time, stay good, be good, do good, all that. Watch movies. Take care, everybody.